Today's subject is going to be sponges and cnidarians. So there's your heading, sponges and cnidarians. These are the simplest animals. We're going to start with sponge characteristics. Sponge characteristics. So sponges are the simplest animals. So if you had to guess, you would say, yes, they are invertebrates, no backbones. The simpler the animal, the less pieces and parts and complexities. They are invertebrates, no backbone. Most are asymmetrical, meaning they have no symmetry, which means no matter how you cut it, no matter how you fold it, they are not the same. They can reproduce asexually or sexually. So basically by themselves or with someone else. Now the thing is, with sponges, they can't really move. They're kind of planted to the ground. Okay, so it's hard for them to reproduce sexually. But what they'll do is if there are a bunch of sponges in one group, they'll basically kind of do what corn does with pollination, is they'll send out a bunch of sperm and hope that it floats towards the females and fertilizes their egg. If they're all by themselves, they can reproduce asexually, which basically they have a little growth and then that falls off and it grows into a new sponge, which is an exact copy. Go ahead and write this down. They remain attached to the seafloor most of their lives. They call that sessile. They're kind of like planted, anchored down. They can't get up and move or have the water move them at all. Most of their lives, they're planted in the ground, kind of like a tree. They don't have roots, but they're anchored down. Many have small pores that allow them to take in nutrients. They're going to eat, digest little floating organisms in the water. What they do is they kind of act as like a filter. They're going to run the water through them. It's going to filter out all the little critters, and they're going to just kind of spit the water out. It's kind of like a tube. It's going to filter the water. These have been here a long time. They were some of the first animals, and they're very, very simple. Then cnidarians. Why don't you write down cnidarians and maybe one or two of the examples there. You've maybe heard of a sea anemone, Portuguese man of war, jellyfish, coral. You've probably heard of some of these. These are cnidarians. Cnidarians are also invertebrates, no backbone. A jellyfish obviously does not have a backbone. I would write the big part. Most have tentacles with stinging cells surrounding their mouth. What they'll do, like a jellyfish for instance, will sting their prey. It will paralyze them, and then they'll be able to digest them while they're paralyzed. For us, we're not necessarily the prey of a jellyfish, but they'll sting us if we get too close or bump into them, more as that kind of in fear, kind of to scare us off. Some of them can be super poisonous to us. Some of them are just painful. Some of these cnidarians can move and swim around like the jellyfish. Others, like the sea anemone, are kind of planted down. Others are sessile. Yeah, that's just what I said. Go ahead and write this down. Or they rely on ocean current to take them. And they came a long time ago. So sponges and cnidarians, kind of the first two, very simple. There we go.